And we've never changed over the years. And, we are still who we are. With just a little bit more money, a little bit more properties, and a couple more kids, so, but it's just been great being on this journey with you, man.
You too,
And
brother.
yeah, so thank you. So welcome everyone to the Power Half Hour. Today, we have a very special guest. I say this all the time, but this guy is actually special, Mr. Colin Nguyen from Seattle, Washington. Thank you for being here, my man.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it, brother. Thanks, you guys, for having me here. Like, I appreciate all of you guys and your time.
Absolutely. Well, Colin is a top 1% agent in the United States. He's from John L. Scott, and he's been selling real estate for how long now, Colin?
We started at the same time. I think I should, like, what, 08? I started in January of 2008, right when the market crashed here in the US.
Why did you do that? I mean, that's a crazy thing to do. Who gets into the market when it's crashing?
Like nobody. But when you're young and dumb, you don't know any difference, right? Like, and then before that, I was a lender. So I was
Oh, okay.
Wall Street, then I became a lender. I'm like, these guys could do lending and mortgage. This is great. So I worked for the #1 lender in the country at that time, which was Countrywide, and they sold to Bank of America now. But I was a lender, one of the youngest lender in one of the #1 banking institution for mortgage. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And then of course, like many of us, the market turned. And overnight, I think it's just, man, it was bad habits when you're making money at an early age.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you shared about it, but I was at MFO, man, just like you. And I was like, this is my last credit card. Like, and I'm meeting with a bankruptcy attorney at 24 years old. Like,
Whoa.
that was the hardest moment, right? Like nobody wants to go through that in life, let alone at 24. Like, crap, like, what am I gonna do? But at that time, with my last credit card, I don't know, just like you, I was like, hey, it's make it or break it. You might as well believe in yourself. And I signed up for MFO just like we both did, right? And that was the story. And within 18 months, I got out of debt and didn't sign the bankruptcy papers, started investing in real
Wow.
estate. And it's, now it's just the accumulation effect and like the journey from then on. That's why I was thinking last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's with John Tsai. Like, what a journey, right?
My goodness, I didn't know it was that bad, Colin.
Yeah, like when you told me yours, I was like, oh my gosh, that's why maybe we sat next to each other. Like God aligned us. Like, look at these two guys. Like they're all the stuff they're going through. They just don't even know it yet.
Oh my goodness. So we were sitting in the back of the room at Mike Ferry Superstar Retreat, and that's where we met. And
Yeah.
we're both down and out, broke. Where else were we supposed to go but sign up for coaching and listen to the coach? Because I had no idea what to do, right? But we had that blind faith as, I can't get worse from here.
Yes,
It can
right.
only
It's
go
like I'm
up.
already at negative. My
Yeah.
bank account's negative. I can't go anywhere else.
So tell me about that journey. In the 18 months, you were able to pay off your debt. So what was that like in terms of signing up for coaching? And how many transactions did you do in the first 12 months and then so on and so forth from there?
Like, the first 7 months I was about to quit. I didn't sell a single home in seven
No.
months. Like, and it was just heartbreaking because I was doing everything that Mike was saying, like, hey, do the calls, wake up in the morning, do this 5 a.m. club or like 5:30 if you can't make it, right? And do your calls every day. But it just didn't work. Or the market was the worst since the Great Depression here
Right.
in the US. Like, we have never seen 30% decrease in the marketplace. Agents were getting out of the business. There was no equity in people's homes. Everybody was negative equity. The bank was foreclosing on homes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? But it's the discipline, right, that we talked about. And I would say attest to the #1 thing is having a vision and a dream, right?
Mm.
Like
Did you
whatever
have
we
that
do.
from your early 20s, even before you got into real estate?
Yes, I always read Think and Grow Rich, and then like
Mm.
even on my phone right now, I still have my vision board all the time, right? Like,
Wow.
I'll share with you guys real quick. And here's my vision board, right?
Oh
It's
boy.
just on my phone. Is the family, the life that you would want or to basically go after. And then for that, it's really empowering on those hard days. Like we always talk about the days that we're winning, the days that, like today, I'm like, oh man, I'm with John. And I'm like, oh, why am I busy? Oh, there's 3 closing. I didn't even close a single deal in 7 months, right? And then today I'm like, oh yeah, we got 3 closing. That's why we got to figure that out. But it's just the dream and the vision that really empowers us on the days that we need it the most. And I truly believe in that, to have that
Yeah.
vision that it's gonna just, you know what, once we make it through this, we're gonna be all right. So it's
Oh.
those hard days.
Once we make it through this, we're gonna be all right. Wow, what a thought. When you're going through hell, guess what? Don't stay there. Keep going. So tell me about the mental process in those 7 months. What were you thinking? Like, you obviously wanted to quit, but how did you get through that?
It is. I think it's God's grace. Like is prayer, meditation,
Mhm.
affirmation, and then massive action. People always talk about like the goals and dreams, but then it just takes massive action where
Yeah.
you're doing it literally like 14 hours a day, but you're just planting seed. Like have faith that you're planting the seed for later on, not just
Yeah.
today, right? And people forget that. I was making calls and I was making no money. This is what I did. So to trick myself that I was making money. So I only had $100. It was so sad, but I took $100. I traded it for $5 bills, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, every call I make, I'm gonna pay myself $5,
Oh
just
my
$5,
gosh.
right? Just to make 20 contacts. I'm like, I'm not making any money, but I could see it. Okay, every call I'm making
Wow.
is $5. It's $5. And of course, the end results is you talk to thousands of people and then appointments and then closings, right? Like that. We all know the numbers work as long as we work the numbers.
Exactly. So if you put in the work, it will work. The system works. You just got to work it. Uh,
Yeah.
but 7 months though, 7 months without nothing, without any income, without any closings, without any new deals, like how did you get through that besides just, focusing on the end goal?
It was tough, to be honest. I got to the point where I had to get a second job just to
Okay.
make $11 an hour to have gas to go to appointments in my car,
Oh my
right?
goodness.
And like my mentor, which is Thatcher's mentor too, and yesterday we were joking. He's like, "Yeah, you should be Colin's first check," and I was like, "Thank you." And it was $70, right?
What?
I sold the home. Basically, after that, the split from the company, like we all know, taxes and everything else, and all
Yeah.
the backdate fees that it was like open house signs and all everything else. It's
Oh
like,
man.
why is this only $74? And it was like at that moment, I broke. I'm like, either I'm gonna quit or I'm not gonna let this get to me. Like I'm gonna either quit or never have this feeling again,
Oh
right?
my goodness.
And that's how, like, when you push against the wall, you either just fight back or you get knocked down. And
Oh my
it's how
goodness.
soon you get up, right?
Yeah, so I heard legends are defined not by their successes, but legends are defined by how they respond and how they get up after setbacks and failures. And you were pushed against the wall and you just pushed back, $75, $70 check. You know what? I got nowhere else to go. I'm just going to keep going. So after the 6, 7 months with no deals, and then what happened after that?
This is a crazy. I even to this day, it broke my record. And I still can't even break this record. Like it was 1 week where I put 7 deals in escrow. I think it was like
What?
5 days, to be honest. Like I set the record. Like it was just like nothing, nothing. And then within 1 week, I put 7 transactions together.
Oh my goodness.
And and then of course that helped pays for everything else and
Yeah.
got me through the year and then just get the momentum going. And that was towards probably like the 9th month, to be honest.
Oh my. Many
So
people would have quit, guys. And
so
there's an
don't quit.
87%, failure rate in the first 2 years in real estate. Don't quit.
Yes.
Don't quit. Keep going. How did you have faith that you were going to make it?
I think at that point, like if you know my past history, so I grew up from poverty. Like we were, we didn't, like nowadays when like people look at me, I'm like, oh, like you must come from a wealthy family or a rich
Mm,
Asian. Like, no, we were born like we immigrated to America and I was 7 years old. We live in the low income projects, right? And I remember we were at the food bank before on Christmas Day, like the Christmas Eve, we were at the food bank line getting food. And like I became the keynote speaker for the Gates Foundation
Wow.
many years later, but it was like that was the story. Like I grew up in poverty and didn't have anything. And it was my mom that's always like, it's gonna be all right, it's gonna be all right. And like she had cancer and she passed when I was 19. So that really empowered me. Like she always said, like, have a vision and go for it, Colin. Like don't settle, like keep going for it and be appreciative of every day. Like even the journey, like you're gonna look back someday and you become like, let's say a multimillionaire. You're like, you know what? I truly appreciate the fact that of this one closing, this one client, this one aspect of my career, because it makes you who you are. It really does.
My goodness, just got to be appreciative. And what a journey. What age were you when your family was going to the food bank?
I was probably like 7 or 8 years old, right? And we
Gosh.
grew up in low-income apartment for like a decade. Um, and like my story was I hung out with the wrong crowd. I was hanging out with gangsters, got in a lot of fights. And one day my mom came home. I mean, I came home one day and my mom said, "Hey, Colin, I have cancer." And
Oh,
the doctor's giving me 3 years. I was 15 years old. All right, for Asians, this is horrible, right? Like,
yeah.
like I was a 2.8 GPA student in ninth grade. That's horrible. So from a 2.8 GPA, my mom's like, "Hey, just change your life. All I ask before I die is go to college."
Oh man.
So from a 2.8, I 4.0 every single class to my senior year. And with that, Bill and Melinda Gates saw that and gave me a full scholarship
Oh
to
my goodness.
college. And that helped me pay for my way to college. And, I became one of their keynote speakers in front of thousands later on it.
Bro, that gives me chills. Like just what a story. What a story. So you had the opportunity to go be a keynote speaker, but Bill and Melinda Foundation were the ones that gave you the scholarship to be able to go to college. And now
Right.
you're back there, inspiring young people to become a success just like you. And you came from nothing, Colin.
Like literally like nothing, like truthfully. And I'm actually on the board of the University of Washington, which has one of the two biggest family in the world, right? Which is the Bezos family,
Yep.
Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, and Bill and Melinda Gates family. And
Wow.
and I'm sitting in this boardroom and I'm like, why am I even here? Like seriously, like why am I even here? Like, and it's just everybody's in their 50s plus, well established, right? Fortune 500 plus, and the dean. And I always ask them, I'm like, why am I even sitting here? But the dean's always saying, and even the Gates family was like, we need you, Colin, because you're the students that we're trying to leave a legacy to
Oh,
and give hope for. And I think that's what all of us is. So like we talk about our why, and realistically, my why is just leave a legacy and have a small impact on the world while we're here.
my goodness. Yeah. Just to leave a legacy for the future generations, how would it be like if your great grandkids had your picture up on the wall? This is my great grandfather, Colin Nguyen, the great one. Wow.
I wouldn't say
Yeah.
that, but right, like, oh, like he did that, or like if you could aspire them, like, gosh, you know what, my grandfather went through all that, and if he could do it, I could wake up as a millennial in the morning and not go on my iPad, right? So,
Man, what an incredible story. As long as we've known each other since 2008, I've never heard this story as deep as you're sharing with us now. So thank you for sharing with us. It's
uh,
very, very inspiring. Now, you're at this place where you got properties, you are, multimillionaire and you sell a lot of homes. How important is it to be in that position and to give back now?
oh, 100%. For us, like we all do real estate, right? And we all change people's lives with the homes that we sell, right? And I think that's a great career. It's a great profession. And for us, it's leaving an impact to not only the people we serve, but the community. Like one of the things we do here is every Christmas, we have our toy drive for Seattle Children's Hospital, which is I would say one of the best hospitals in the world, because if a kid has like leukemia and they can't afford it, Seattle Children's Hospital actually will do the surgery and the procedure for free, zero, like for zero. And that's, I mean, our kid went to NICU, and I can't even imagine parents going through that, right? And like for us, we started with, hey, let's do a toy drive for them. And my vision was, if we could just do 100 toys, that'd be great, And like 3 years ago, it was one of the greatest part where we had a whole semi truck, like a 18-wheeler semi truck full of toys that was enough for every single child at the whole hospital and their family and brothers and sisters.
Goodness.
For Christmas. And it's leaving that type of just impact that, I don't share a lot about it, but it's just like, hey, why not, right? Like if we could do this and our career, man, like we have it so good, right?
I'm almost speechless. Thank you for your contribution to the community, and just thank you for what you do. It's very inspiring as a real estate agent like myself, looking at what you do every single year and the impact that you're making, the legacy that you're leaving. So we come across a lot of agents that, give to get. And then I think you're in the mindset of give to give with no expectation of receiving back, but you do receive. So what kind of mindset do you come from when you give?
That's a great question. Like, so I have to share this since we're on the call. So this was an award, right? And this award is you can't even put a price on this because it's just an honor, because this award is for the alumni of the year for our fraternity, which Paul Allen was a part of, like co-founder of Microsoft, right, with Bill Gates, and also John F. Kennedy, the president of the United States, had one in their house. So there's very few, and our motto is to give expecting nothing thereof.
No way. That's your motto?
Yes, and it's ingrained in me since college, is like to give. And of course, like, look, we're all human. Like, oh man, like you give and you think you want something back. But I don't know if you guys ever noticed, you might give to this person, you never get anything back from that person, but yet someone else gives it to you, right?
Yeah.
Right? Have you guys ever gone through that? It's like, here you go, I'm gonna give to this person. Maybe I expect something back, and then somehow the world aligns or the universe aligns. Another person will come and help you tenfold, like that you didn't expect. And so when you give expecting nothing thereof, like you already know it's coming back.
Oh my goodness. So you give to give, but ultimately the universe will reward you with that.
100%.
This is a lot of talk about, law of attraction. Talk a little bit about that, because, we follow Thatch, we follow Saul, obviously, and they're big fans of this. How has the law of attraction changed and affected your business in the past 10, 15 years?
Great question. I think the law of attraction is like the dream board. I also have a dream letter. So every year I would write a letter to myself at the end of that year. January 1st, I would write a letter, December 31st of that year. And how do I see my life at the end of the year? And what has happened that I'm so grateful for? The things that's happened this year, right? And when you read that letter, you start manifesting the things in your life. And I first started off with 1 year, but we never see how much we could do in 5 or 10 years, right? I finally started doing the 5-year letter, and then now the 10-year letter. And it gets scary. Like, I think Matthew McConaughey says that, right? It gets so scary when you're like before, I was always looking at comparing myself to others, like, oh, this person is doing this person's doing that. Now I'm truly scared of the person in that letter is who you become in 5 years, who you become in 10 years, right? And it's just basically propels you to who you want to become and what do you want to attract. So those things that pop up in your life daily, do I really want that? Well, it's not really in line with my vision. I don't need it.
Ah,
It's a
yes,
gyroscope. It's like my North Star, basically. It becomes a
yeah.
North Star.
That's amazing. So you said it was more like a vision letter. Our masterminds, we call it a prophecy letter, which is like
Ah,
self-fulfilling prophecy. And we always write it January 1st, like you said, and we would date it December 31st, 2022, in all areas of my life, physical, mental, spiritual, family, and career, right? And
amen.
once you write it, it's like magic that you put it away. You write it and you put it away, but you come back to it, you read it, you're like, oh my gosh,
It is.
80% of what I've written down in this letter have manifested. And the 20% that didn't happen wasn't really important anyways.
Amen. Yes. And we learn about the stuff, right? Like at a certain point where like the stuff doesn't make you happy, like, but it's who we
Mm,
are and who we become in the process of that, right? Like at least go for it. And if you get there and you're like, hey, I could totally afford this car, right?
yeah,
I could totally buy that watch. I could totally get this home. Does it make you happy? And if it does, go for it. If it doesn't, don't do it. like,
exactly. It's so
like,
simple. But when you write that, you'll know exactly where you're going. So people always ask me, what should I do today? Okay, well, who do you want to be in 5 to 10 years? If you have that vision so clearly, you know exactly what to do today if it's aligned with that vision, right? So guys,
exactly.
please go create a prophecy letter today. Even if we just have 4 months left in the year, go and write it. It'll make a difference, guys. So tell me, Colin, what's your vision now, 5, 10 years down the road? What does that look like for you?
Like, realistically, is to intensify who you really are, right? To be empowering as a leader, to impact the world. Like, and it starts with just each day, right? The words we use, like this call, like if we could plant the seed in one person on this call and they become the best of them in life, that's all you need. And then as long as you do that day after day, it compounds year after year, right? And that's what I've noticed. Before I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna get there? Versus if you just control the hour, it will
Yeah,
control your day and
yeah.
manifest the month and ultimately your destiny.
Guys, it's never mind one day at a time. It's like 1 hour at a time. What am I going to do right now that matters and it's aligned with my end vision? So you want to be the best you can be in 5 years, in 10 years, and just really, again, it's all about leaving a legacy. What's your big dream then? I'm
Re-
curious.
That's great. Like realistically, it's just empowering others, right? And also right now is to be a great person at home, like your home life, like your
Mm,
kids, your family, because there's times where we go facing forward, right? But it's
yeah.
also like the home base. Like so for me right now, it's the home base is always important. And then the next part is once you get the home base right and who we are, like we could go out and impact the world and have great teams, right? And then do everything else with impactful, pretty much the vision that we have. And then that vision is a great team, be on good boards, make an impact on those boards that we are in, and then it ripples effect throughout our
Mm.
community and the world.
Wow. Who can you help today? Who can you serve today? Who can you inspire today? I think that's what I'm hearing from you. Just going out there and, one day at a time, in fact, 1 hour at a time.
It's
Colin, I am just blown away with who you are, who you've become. Obviously, we all, we're coming up together and you stay so humble. So a big congratulations, first and foremost, on your success, Colin. But this is important. It's something that popped up in my head is that when you were coming up, and even today, there's a lot of fear in the market. There's a lot of fear in the real estate agents' minds. Oh, what's going to happen next year? What's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen to my income? How do you deal with fear, Colin?
that's a good question. That is a for me, I think it's like looking back at what are you fearful about, right? I
Mm,
always so if I go through a challenging factor in my life, like one of my hardest part just the last couple of years was when I lost my sister. When I lost my sister 3 years ago, it was
oh,
heartbreaking to me. Like it was like like I lost a lot of purpose. I was like, what are we doing this for? Like why, right? And it took me a little bit of time to realign. And so when I go through like a challenging factor of life, I write down what's my fear on one side, like okay, like my fear is like loss, like this, and or I'm going through transaction, I'm broke, I don't have this. And then on the other side of the fear, what is it? It's hopes, dreams, love, empowerment. And within that gap is what are my action plan? What do I need to do? And
Wow.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not. I'm general. Like there's days it's hard for me too,
Yeah.
right? Like that was one of the hardest moments where I'm like, why am I doing all this? Like
Oh
it's
man.
just when you lost your father, right, John? And it's just
Yeah.
it's like a reflection in the mirror. Why are we doing all this?
Mm.
And it's just like empowering to know that hey, we're not doing just for us. It's for the next generation and those we love and those we lead. Like that's when the rubber meets the road, right? It's like, okay, this is what I gotta do to get out of that.
Bro, I didn't even know about your sister. I'm sorry to hear that. And it
Thank you,
must have had
man.
a huge impact on your life. Man, again, I'm just blown away. I'm a little bit speechless, but to reiterate what you just shared with us, which is very important, guys, it's writing down your fears on one end. And what are my fears? What am I really dealing with? Writing it down, and then write down the other side, which is the hopes and dreams and what I'm about to achieve. And then in between here is the action plan that you need to write down to get from fear to your hopes and dreams. Guys, these exercises are so good. Thank you so much for sharing, Colin.
And thanks, John. Yeah, like because it's all of us right now, the marketplace, right? Like we're making less money, or we're like we have to do more work, right? But it's writing down that you're like, okay, I'm not doing the transaction, I'm doing why, right? It's because the market spoiled us. Like you
Yes.
can't put the home on the market for 1 week and it's sold already. Like no. So what do I have to do in order to get with my sellers, right? Talk to my sellers and follow up with all the agents that seen the listing, right? Then what do we need to do in our marketing about it? And then so that basically it keeps you busy. That what a good busy, productive is actually a better word, right?
Yes.
If we could just mope in fear and like, oh my gosh, like this is the market's changing. I got no stuff in my bank account. And it's true, right? All of us is could like it could be true, but it's like, okay, what do we gotta do in order to move the needle to the other side rather than just sitting there and seeing it? I mean, I know like the numbers are real, but like what do we gotta do in order to move the needle just to the other side?
It's like, did we turn all the stones that were to be turned, or were you expecting results from the work that you didn't do? It's actually very simple. So just go do the work, guys. Keep busy, better yet, keep productive, keep being productive, and the fear will be out of your mind.
Yes.
Okay. Colin, thank you so much for today. How can the audience reach out to you or send you referrals?
I'll send everybody my contact info after this call. And if you can help forward it, that'd be great. If there's any needs that you guys have or questions for Seattle real estate, we'll be more than happy to help.
My man, any
So
last
much.
insight for the audience, Colin?
Keep living your dreams, you guys. Like that's all I have to say is keep living your dreams wherever you're at today. Just see yourself in 5 years or 10 years and go live it just one day at a time. Like you don't have to accomplish 10 years or be John Sire, be anyone else. Just be the best you, like just today. Like that's all you need to focus on.
Keep living the dream, my brother. Getting choked up here. Thank you, Colin, for today, guys. Please reach out to Colin if you want to chat and send him referrals. Keep supporting him, keep supporting ourselves. Go and live your dream, guys. Make it a great day. All the best.
Oh, thanks guys for being on it. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, brother.
All right, there, John. Take care.